Alright guys, back on the bench on this thing. So we had it painted. This is all nice and cured. She's cured up pretty good. I do have a few dirt spots in it up here. So we're going to sand them out real quick. And I got one right here, a nice big one on the fender. Like, really? This side here is super clean. Trunk is pretty clean. Everything else looks pretty clean on it. But we're going to give this a nice scuff down. And we're probably going to scuff this edge here. I don't know if I'm going to really scuff the rest of it. It's not going to hurt it. And then we're going to decal it and we're going to clear coat it. So that way this part is done and it'll be ready for paint. And it'll be ready for assembly when we get to that point. So once this cures out again after the clear coat's on it, we can go through and bare metal foil these spots and start putting some glass on it. Get the headliner painted and all that good stuff. But for right now, we're going to do some sanding on it. So I'm going to use some 5000. This is a 3M product. I love this stuff. It's a foam, so it works really good. And once again, like I always do, I cut everything in a little chunk. So we're going to wet sand the hood down and all that good stuff. But we're going to start this here first. We got our water here. This is a wet and dry paper, or pretty much a sponge, I should say. And I'm basically looking just to knock it down a little bit to get those bumps out of there. I'm not looking to polish the thing or anything because the paint's pretty smooth on it, so I'm good with that. So if you ever wanted to know if your model's really cured out or not, when you're sanding it and you turn the sandpaper over and it's got streaks in it, if you're doing enamel, that means you're probably not dry. You're galling up the sandpaper. So as you see here, we're just turning a little bit red. So that means we're pretty cured out. Now sanding this, I can actually just leave it like this and then clear coat right over top of it, and you'd never know I've been sanding the thing because the water basically acts like clear coat, so you can see how I'll just leave it nice shiny on top. Like I say, I'm after those little dust spots because the car really don't need much sanding per se. I just kind of want to get some of these spots out of here. So once we get so far with it, take a towel, wipe it down, just see our progress. So like I say, we're looking for those little imperfections. I still see one right there. A little one there. So we're almost there. We're almost out. So you can say our sandpaper's still doing good. Looks nice yet. Got the little guy right here. So we're going to clear this with MCW clear coat. It's kind of going to be like a K2 basically. So I don't want to sand too much here because that's a sharp body line, and I definitely don't want to take that down into the primer because that's like, hey, let's start over at that point. I'll do a little bit on the trunk here just to give it a little, like I say, I could just go over the whole car and be done with it, but there's only a few spots I really need to touch on, so we're just going to do those spots. Okay, we're going to do the hood real quick. I'm mainly interested just in the centerpiece because we're going to do that in black. I got a few little discrepancies on that. Now the hood is supposed to be black all the way around the edge here. That is a 351 version. That's how the 351s were. So the Mach 1, they painted the hood around here and around the hood scoops and back up. Okay, so we got a nice flat looking roof. Like I said, don't know if I'm going to go through and sand the rest of the body because it don't really need it. I guess I could give it just a little touch just to make sure it's good to go. Like I say, I get nervous on some of these body lines because I do not want it to go through. It won't take nothing, especially right here because that paint's like super, super thin. So if you're going to sand it, you really want to stay away from that stuff. But yeah, so that sanded out really nice. So like I say, if you're doing clear coat on it, be basically no different than that water. So see how that just shines up nice, looks good. That's what the clear coat looked like. Like I say, I might scuff this just a little bit just to give it give it the paint a little something to stick to. That way it'll just match the rest of it. I'm just gonna go real light on it. Nothing drastic at all. Okay guys, that should look good there. So we're gonna get a little clear coat action going here. There, I'll wipe down nice. Like I said, sided just a little bit. nothing over the top. Well guys, we're going to get this decaled up, and I think we should be pretty good. Do a little panel line on this real quick before I decal it. So we do have this long decal that goes across the bottom here. So it'll be nice just to drip a little bit of panel line in there before we paint. So when I was painting the body, I painted the underside of the frame here. I still got to paint this, and I thought, you know, it'd look cool, just do it in red, whatnot. Man, every picture I see, this is all black under here, and I know they were black back in the day, but I thought it looked kind of cool in red, but I think I will do it in black. So when I get my black paint back out, I think I'll just hit this piece here and be done with it. Same as the firewall, I left that red too. So we're going to paint that back to black. I just had leftover paint, and I thought, man, I just hate dumping it out because it's got hardener in it, so it's kind of useless at that point. So I got my little sponge blocks here made. So we're using our Tamiya panel line, black in color. Like I said, we're just a little bit. I mean, just enough to where it barely is going to run down. And hopefully she'll take the bait and follow its dreams. Of course it's not. So we'll give her a little bit, and we'll wipe the rest off quick. So I just want to accent it so that, yeah, probably shouldn't use your fingers, your hands, but I find by using Q-tips or anything like that, the material of the Q-tip will go inside the line and wash your panel line right out of there, so it's like you never even put it in. So as long as you get it wiped off good on the sides, usually pretty good. So I found it's not the best to let it dry and then wipe it off later. Just wipe it off while it's just still fresh and wet, and she looks pretty good. Now the panel lines on this Mustang they're not very deep at all. So if one was to go through, you know, you might want to go through and scribe those a little bit deeper. So we get this side done. We'll get that trunk last. Yeah, that one's wicking down like it should. So it should just flow nicely. I didn't put it on very heavy because, like I said, I don't want it some definite line that I can't wipe out of there. Okay, so looking at our instructions, we got quite a decal set to go on here. So you guys cutting your decals out, so I end up going through and cutting most of these up. So the decals sit like this together. So when you go right down the center between these stripes, you got your right side and your left side. So it works pretty good. So we just need this side at a time. Big one on the bottom, so we're going to put those on first. And then we'll put the marker lights in, and then we'll do these other ones on top of that. So we're going to get a couple more of these cut out. I just find scissors are easier for this type of stuff. But, you know, you want to cut it with whatever. That's your call, I guess. But I just find this works better for me. Besides painting, probably decals is my other second favorite part of the model kit. I love decaling because it just changes the looks of a kit so much. It's unbelievable. Got my cheap Kmart scissors here. So we're getting ready to get the decals on this side. So I already did the decals on this side. Yeah, that looks cool. So like I say, it is scuffed and wet sanded, but we are going to clear coat it, so all that'll disappear in the clear coat. So I tried to get this baby as straight as possible, so I think it looks pretty good looking down the side there. Maybe have a little wave in it. We got the decals on the back. I think that's turned out pretty nice. And once these were all applied, we did put the Microsol on there, so that worked out pretty good. So we're going to do this side. We're going to get these going, and I got my little foam block here, so this works great for stuff like this. Set that on there. Of course, it's a little heavy in this angle, so just put a little block behind me, and away we go. Like I say, I flip-flop back and forth. So I had mentioned in earlier videos that I want to take and make this hood go around here, but I think I'm just going to follow that outline. Man, I looked at every picture out there on this thing, and there's not one car painted like that unless it's a Mach 1. I thought, you know what, we'll stick with the original plans and keep it like that. So we're going to go ahead and decal this side of the car and get that started. So when I did the other side, I put them bottom decals on first. So we're going to get this in some water here. Soak that for a second. I just leave these decals in just long enough to get it wet, and then once I dip it in the water, I pull it out and I just leave it on the bench for a second, and then I go from there. So I got my Microsol ready to go. Got some extra Q-tips and all that fun stuff. And I know a lot of guys, they tell you to put the Microsol on before you do the decal. I actually don't like doing that myself because it starts to curl, and if you got to move the decal around, it's a little harder to do. So I'll just take and put a little water in here, because you know, you don't ever put these on and they're perfect right at the get-go. So I just find it's easier just to do it later. So I found on these, because these decals, they overlap on each side, and what I'm doing is just lining it up at the very bottom of the body. So this side here, I let it just come down below, and I use the body as a straight edge. So that worked pretty good. Something like that. You can see it's a little edge in there yet. And I got a little overhang on both sides, so I got enough there, enough to go around the back. I need to pull it back this way just a little bit more. Like so. Still looking good here. It's like so. Alright, we'll take a Q-tip, smooth her out a little bit. I try not to wipe it too hard because it will still slide on you, because it does have water in there. A little bit underneath the decal yet. Something like that. We're looking pretty good on the bottom. So it's got just enough. So I'm not worried about this part here too much, because once we put the Microsol on there, that'll start to fold that around as it dries. I did the other side pretty good. So while that's in that phase there, we'll put some Microsol on it. I put on just pretty heavy right there. Overlap it, just let it do its thing. Still works amazing. Now the only problem with using this block, it's going to catch the bottom of that, and while the decal's still wet, it could pull it a little bit. So I just have to be careful how I set this on there. Okay, so we got that back decal on. That just slides on there super easy. Super easy. A little Microsol in there. So like I did on the other side, I put these on first. The other thing you gotta watch is make sure you get these off there. Because if you wipe them off on this here, I noticed I'd look down in there on my thumb. I thought, oh. And of course, as you go to try to maneuver it around the model, now you're getting numbers all over the place. So I try to wipe those numbers off first, and I just use a Q-tip on that. Just get them off there, just to clear the board. Okay, so we got that one put on. A little more water on that so we can move it around a little bit. Kind of like where it's at, but like so. New bottle, because the last one I had it open and I bumped it and of course tipped it over. Good stuff there. Let's soak up some excess here. So this one here is what I had a little more harder time on the other side. It kind of wanted to stick a little bit on me. Now before I clear coat this, I'm going to let this set overnight and let those decals cure out completely. You know, that way I know there's no issues with them. So this back one I'll put on first, so that's an easy one. Wipe those numbers off. See how those numbers stick to your fingers? There's that 60 right there. This decal sits right above the light, and it stops just before that piece here. Something like that. So see on this here, it's starting to cure a little bit. So I just kind of helped it around just to make sure it seated where it needed to go. So I'm going to keep that decal wet while I put the other decal on, just in case I need to remove it a little bit. Just in case. Okay, now we're going to put that long one on in the center. Like so. Like a saw. Not too bad. So it'd be nice if I went to pull on it and it'd straighten itself out, but it doesn't. So that's unfortunate, but that's okay. So I see this whole decal needs to come down just a little bit. Alright guys, so we got that lined up. Alright, so we got that decal laid out. That laid out pretty decent. It takes a little finessing. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's not like just throw it on there. Whoop, there you go. Looks good. I mean, it's not quite like that on this, but get a little Microsol in there. Okay, we're going to get that on there and let that cure out. So once that cures out completely, give it a quick wash one more time. Once those decals are completely dry, and then we're going to put it in some clear coat, and this thing's going to start looking pretty cool. So once I put that clear coat on it, the rest of it can just sit for a while and we're good to go with it. So I was like looking down the side, make sure the stripe looks pretty straight, and go from there. Alright guys, so we're going to jump along onto the front grill section. Okay, so another thing I've seen a lot of pictures. So I saw a lot of these, this ring was chrome, and I've seen a lot of pictures where that ring was black. It'd probably look better, obviously in chrome, it'd look more finished. So I'm probably going to do those in chrome, probably just with a mouth tool pen. So you see these are angled, and so if you do cut them off and you're not sure where they go, they have a little tab in the back. So you can see there's a little tab right there. Another tab here, so they're kind of nice, so they tab it for you. So the tab's on the outside, so this one's on the outside, so this will like go here. So we're using the Tamiya LP53. So on the bottom, this gets orange as well. Obviously, you're probably not going to see that well, so what we're probably going to do is put some bare metal foil in there first. So we're probably going to start with that, but I want to get these going because this stuff takes a little bit of time to cure. And I just take a toothpick to this. So most of these toothpicks don't really grab much with that sharp little point. So I usually just break that off. So I get a little more of a flat piece. Just give it a little dip and just touch her in the hole. Just let it wick around. If you get it in the edge, it's okay because it'll settle in. Oh, I don't want too much on there. I got a ball of it ready just to run off. Last corner. There we go. Something like that. Okay, so we're going to put those off to the side. To me, the grill is one of the most important parts of the car. Make sure this bad boy looks good. So what we'll do is we'll just paint the inside of that with the amber. So we'll let the chrome hang down around the side. And we'll just trim this here. Like so. Like that. Put a little amber in there. That'll look pretty nice. In theory anyways. Like so. I like a little thicker in there. You pull more in it, you notice how darker, a little more darker what amber it becomes versus just the standard kind of a lighter color. Like so. We'll let that cure up for a little bit. And while that's doing that, we're going to get that chrome painted. So I might take my chance and run with the big boy here. This is the, what size is this guy? Type large. I don't know which one this is. 4mm, the big one. Big round. Look at that bad boy. And the reason I'm thinking this might be better, because that little one, because I have this one, I have the real fine, like the paint, like the ink pen style one. And I'm thinking that one I'm going to drop off or something like this, where I can just do a quick... I wish I had the flat one though. I don't know if it'll work on the headlight because I'm afraid of touching the sides. But I think it'll work on here. So we're going to give it a try. We'll see what happens. Because there's really not a edge for this. I mean, it's really nothing there for it. I figure just give it a one-time round. Quick and easy. Probably should have did this before I did the lights. So I'm keeping it a little bit inboard. Like so. Alright. I'll try the small one here, see what we can do. Okay, everybody, deep breath. And hold. Like that. Not bad, not bad. We're getting there. Now do the buckets. Once again, deep breath and hold. Like that. Looks a little choppy, doesn't it? Okay, so we should be good there. So now I can take the big fatty guy and go on the inside and paint the rest of that headlight. Maybe. So I want the center, the top there, I want to leave that black if I can. So it'll simulate like a headlight in there. Okay. Oh, we got a little round here. I thought we had it all. Okay, look too bad. We're getting there. We're getting there. So actually that bigger marker worked pretty good. Just at the very beginning. Because that's where this filled this edge in. But I just couldn't get down below, like inside. Alright. Wasn't too bad to do. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So now we're at that point. So I'm going to put just a little dab of super glue in there. So I like to use the super glue control gel. So I use super glue, like I mentioned before in early videos, only on painted to paint parts or chrome to paint. If I got plastic to plastic, I'll definitely use like the Tamiya Thin, something like that. But you just need a little dab in there, like so. So this guy's going to go here. So now to seal the deal on this, we're going to stick that decal on there, and then the grill will be done, other than putting in our headlights. Okay, a little Microsol on that, and the grill is going to be done for this portion of it. Alright, so it turned out pretty nice. We'll let that dry and we'll put the lights in it a little bit and call this good. So I just want to put just a little bit in here. I'll do my trick like I did last time. Wipe it off. I'll wipe that right out. We'll wipe off. Should be good. And we'll leave it like that. Alright guys, we're going to wrap this video up. So next time we're going to get this washed up after these decals dry on this side. I see we're still a little wrinkly here, but the rest of them are starting to dry out really nice. And we will get this into some clear coat. So we should be good to go. Good to go. Alright guys, I appreciate you tuning in for episode number 4. And we will see you on the next video. You guys have a good one, and thanks for watching.